Staples Center here on the campus of the University of Oklahoma as the Oklahoma Sooner women gymnasts open their 2021 campaign as they welcome the Sun Devils from Arizona State University. Thank you, Meg McDonald, the third member of our broadcast team. Glad to have you here reporting from up in the stands. We're all not allowed on the floor as a matter of safety protocols, and the first vaulter for the Sooner was Audrey Davis as we go quickly to the uneven bars because Arizona State is set to go there with Gracie Reeves.
Bart, you've noticed in watching this team that they are upping their difficulty, and you can see that in every performer.
Reeves expected to compete on 3 events tonight. She's a sophomore from Phoenix.
You know, she gathered experience having to be thrown into the lineup last year with so many freshmen. Great landing, perfect stick, great start.
It's congratulations there from Jay Santos and Jess Santos, the husband and wife head coaching team there at Arizona State. Quickly back to the vault for the Sooners. Here is experienced Allie Stern, the junior.
Allie is just like a sponge, says Coach Kenmer. She listens to every single word in practice.
The number 2 returning scorer on vault for the Sooners averaged just under 9.9 last season in the COVID-shortened season. The score for Audrey Davis, the first vaulter for the Sooners, is a 9.825. Emily White getting set to go now for Arizona State. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Kelly, Arizona State, a very young team with great potential. Talking to the coaches the other day, very enthusiastic about this team and what they can do, but there's a fair amount of uncertainty because they've not really been tested.
That's true, but I think that they know that last year having so many freshmen that had to be thrown into the competition that gave them experience they wouldn't normally already have.
Score for her teammate Gracie Reeves to lead them off was a 9.775.
You know, Bart, as I mentioned, they are trying to up their difficulty, and they have, Coach Santos has really been working on bigger dismounts. So let's see that if each of these girls demonstrate that big dismount with a great landing.
You should see an interesting transition move right here.
Watch this Maloney half. You know, the judges are looking for hitting those handstands. That's why they strive so much to hit perfectly straight up and down. That one is a little short. Is that dismount? Oh, wow, that's 2 in a row.
Well done and beautiful form and execution. Lovely toe point throughout. Boy, she's excited. Her first competition as a Arizona State Sun Devil. Well, this gives me a thrill. This is Audrey Lynn, freshman from Norman, Oklahoma. She trained at Bart Conner Gymnastics Academy. She made the lineup here as a walk-on.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, a traditional vault, not the Yurchenko entry, and so it takes a lot more power to be able to pop off, coming off your feet. You'll see it right here, up. Well, I thought they were doing the replay. Guess not. So it was a beautiful landing for her first time as a Sooner.
She was a level 10 gymnast at Bart Conner Gymnastics, coached by Christian Ivanov, and she's had a lot of success on vault. Great for her in the opening meet of the season to get the call to go. Her score in is a 9.875.
Wow, that's exactly what they want from a freshman, to get their feet wet and to build confidence. You know, Bart, one thing we might notice today is perhaps a lack of consistency, only because they haven't had the normal training preparation that they've had in the past.
That's true. All the coaches have been telling us they're about a month or so behind in terms of preseason prep. So there are a lot of question marks for sure. Emily White had a 9.85, outstanding and rewarded for her good form. As we move on now to Hannah Sharp from Arizona State.
You'll notice right here a connection with 2 releases back-to-back. Difficult and receives bonus combination, helps her start from the 10-0. Playing it a little safe on the cast before the dismount, but kind of expected. Oh, excellent. Look how she threw that dismount up high above the high bar. Not always do you see that. You can tell their hard work is paying off.
Back to the vault now for the Sooners. Catherine Lavasser, they call her Cat. She's a freshman out of Texas. Very excited about her potential as well.
She is doing the full and a half. She is really going to be an all-star for the Sooner team, says Coach Kimmer. She'll be around for 4 years, just knocking it out as a freshman, starting to understand what this college gymnastics is all about.
She's slated to compete in vault, bars, and beam for the Sooners, and she has deceptively explosive power. All right, let's take a look at the keys to the meet today. Kelly?
Well, you know, Bart, they're really trying to jump back on the hamster wheel, if you ask me, because they've been out. They didn't exactly know if they were having a season, so they're looking for repetition and numbers in competition in a stressful situation. Testing their physical condition, having been a month behind, and also stamina. Takes months of preparation to build up that stamina. We'll notice it more as the meet continues on.
That's the Riverwind keys to the meet. Riverwind still the one. Back to bars now. The score in for Hannah Sharp as Sarah Clark starts her routine. Beautiful release.
Nice and high. Beautiful pack salto. You can tell she's working it a little bit on bars. You're really wanting to see a natural swing, catching the bar just perfect, so a flow out of into the next movement.
Wow.
Okay, they have got to be super excited. They are rocking their routines, and I'll be honest, warm-ups look nothing like that, so they are gamers.
And competing next for Oklahoma on the ball, Anastasia Webb.
Anastasia Webb, she is our Sooner to watch, and hard to believe she's a senior already, but what a star she has been for the Sooners her career.
You know, everything she does is wow. Trying a little too hard to stick that landing, and actually came in a little short, which is more of a deduction than stepping forward, because it actually shows not quite enough height and block off of the table. Sometimes she just needs to let it happen. When you're talented, you can do that. Again, getting your feet wet for the season, though, something to build on.
Juliet Boyer will be next up for Arizona State on the uneven bars as we wait for the score for Sarah Clark. Boyer is one of the all-arounders in tonight's competition. In fact, she has been one of the MVPs for this team, and as we mentioned, about half of their scores come from all-arounders, and 80% of their scores come from athletes that are just freshmen and sophomores. So their inexperience is not showing here so far. They look really good tonight.
They look really good. You said it. See if she can continue the momentum. Being a veteran, she should. Perfect rhythm. Pirouetting right on top in order to connect. Again, just small deduction on the handstand before the dismount, but she nails it. Oh! Again, she kind of took off from Anastasia and trying too hard to stick. You just got to tap it up, let it happen, then look for the landing.
Score in for Anastasia Webb at 9.85, and that brings up Evie Schoper. This is an unusual vault, same type of vault, a Yurchenko 1.5, but she does it in a tuck position.
This is just what worked for her. She gets more height when she, pops it up. And that is so much better than last year. Sometimes she was twisting it into the ground just a little bit, but this year, not so. Nice and high. The Sooners start with 5-10 vault start values, which really will make a difference in the score at the end of the night.
Yeah, the Sooners known for having the most 10-0 start values of the teams that are contending for a national title. Every year, there's 5 or 6 or even more on the team that can do a 10-0 start value, and you get a half a 10 start value advantage on every other competitor. It could be as much as a quarter of a point advantage for the team that has that high start values on ball. Abby Schofer's score is in. It's a 9.875. Now, what we're seeing here is Cairo Leonard Baker, the score in for Juliet Boyer, a 9.825.
That is a unique way to show that skill off in the pipe position. Cairo is that veteran that we talked about, and really she pulled it off because her warm-up on bars was iffy, and I could sense it on her face also. I just wanted to go hug her. Say, it's going to be okay, you got this. And she did.
This is Carly Woodard. She is doing an exhibition performance in NCAA competition. They're allowed to put an athlete up in an exhibition role. Her opportunity to gain some additional experience, but her score will not count towards the team score. Abby Schofer was the final person in the official lineup. But I do like the idea that they give some athletes a chance to basically do a dress rehearsal and get a little experience, because they'll surely put her in the lineup later on the season.
Well, Marta, really kind of depends also, because she's doing a full, which is only that 9.95 start value. So they may use her, they may not. Coach Kindler says she likes to have 10 deep on every event. That is almost incredible to think about.
Well, a great first rotation, extremely clean gymnastics for this first go-around. And we'll see Izzy Redmond, the exhibition performer for Arizona State, to score in for Cairo Leonard Baker, a 9.825. Arizona State has to be thrilled with that opening rotation. Oh.
Too bad that was close, but this is exactly why they come here, they get in a pressure situation, they test themselves, not just physically, but mentally. She will learn from this. But I agree with you. Arizona State has got to be incredibly pleased with first rotation, building their confidence to say, we're coming into the Oklahoma house and we're ready to go. We're ready to play. Finishing up great. Again, a solid landing, solid dismount. You can see they've really worked on that.
And this concludes our first round of competition.
Right on.
Here are the scores for the Sooners. As you can see, very consistent on the ball. No 9.9s, but high 9.8s. Once again, you drop the low and count just the top 5 scores towards the team total. In that case, Gracie Reeves' score would be dropped for Arizona State on bars, and all their scores are 9.825 and above. So what a superb first rotation here in the opening day of gymnastics in this 2021 season. Don't go away. We'll move to rotation 2. Arizona State will move to the vault, and the OU Sooners will be on the bars.
Guess what?
Welcome back to the Lloyd Noble Center. We're already off to a great start in this 2021 season. Arizona State very impressive in their first rotation on bars, and they're keeping it close with the 4-time national champions, the OU Sooners, 49.325 to 49.175 after 1 of 4 rotations.
People there love to practice with. Look right here. And last thing, guys, they disinfect every single mat throughout practice. They have daily screening at 5 a.m. Athletes have to fill out forms. And in order for them to do that, those forms are sent to Jen Richardson. If there is a red flag, she calls them at 5 a.m. She's doing everything she can to keep her athletes as safe as possible.
Thank you, Meg. Juliet Boyer, first stop for Arizona State, does that Yurchenko full, that 9.95 start value you were talking about, Kelly. She's the all-arounder for them. Carrie Thomas will be up for the Sooners now in that very important lead-off position. She's the senior out of Coral Springs, Florida.
I've noticed already Terry that her lines look fantastic this year. She is that solid performer, having competed on bars all last season.
A year ago this month, she had her career high, 9.95.
Well, this is a perfect start.
Oh.
Come on. Oh, you can see that. It's always great when you see a great routine to see them finish it off. That's what we love.
She had so much height, she could just dial in that landing. That was impressive.
It certainly was. I think they might, I wonder if they feel the pressure. Like, I don't know if the team actually knows how close the other ASU is to the Oklahoma Sooners.
Jada Mangahas now on vault for Arizona State.
Okay. Another 9.95 start value. This is where it may come into play, Bart. Having that extra half a tenth to go from. The solid ball, the clean ball, a little pike down, which is a deduction, and then of the step on the landing. So we'll see.
Mangahas, a freshman from Allentown, Pennsylvania, comes from that legendary Parkettes gymnastics program. We'll go back to the Sooners on the bars. Carrie Thomas had a 9.875 to start them off, and that brings up Kat Levasseur. You saw her in the vault in the last rotation. She had a 9.85 in that performance.
There's a lot of expectations from this athlete. She does not like to fail. She is a perfectionist, and you can see why. Her technique is fantastic. Coach Kindler said she's simple but perfect.
Oh, another stuck landing. Wow.
It looked effortless. She landed like this.
She's a freshman, and the Sooners welcome 9 freshmen to their roster this year. Not all of them are competing, but it's a huge team. And we're seeing around the country, lots of teams have robust lineups and rosters because with COVID, you don't know who's going to be available every week, so you need a lot of athletes.
That's exactly right.
Gracie Reeves.
Gracie's also doing that tuckle and a half. Look. Oh, so great. Warm-up, she has a tendency to, land it a little short. I was actually a little concerned for her knees, to be quite frank. And she, again, this is what you want from a team member, is someone who brings it when it's time to compete.
The first 2 scores for Arizona State, 9.775s, a little lower than their effort on even bars in the first rotation. Jordan Draper, the senior from Texas, will be next to go for the Sooners. Levasseur score is in. It's at 9.925. Wow, what a start for OU there.
Well, they love her line. Did you see upside down when she was doing her double layout? She has absolutely perfect form. Another thing you're going to notice, if they hit the handstand, that's going to play a difference in the score. Especially that last handstand, a little loose just now on her feet. A slight deduction. Gets closer and okay, double front dismount, blind landing, really hard to see it.
She's normally a contributor consistently on the floor, but last year she only was in 1 meet on the bars and got a 9.85.
I love that she is upping her game as a senior.
Anaya Smith now for Arizona State.
She really has impressive power. She has stuck this vault a lot. Oh, and she did it again.
Nicely
it
done.
Almost startled her. Her feet hit, and she's like, oh, wow.
The freshman from Laurel, Maryland, lights up her team with that big Yurchenko 1.5 in a laid out position.
See right here, form can be improved. Oh, actually, she did move her foot just a touch. So it wasn't a perfect stick, but it was darn close.
Scores in for Jordan Draper. That's a 9.85 for the Sooners. That'll bring up Reagan Smith She's a sophomore here, and she had an outstanding freshman year. Of course, she was one of the highest recruited freshmen last year. Former world medalist and national team member and Olympic alternate, and she did a terrific job as a freshman. It's interesting to see what she can come up with here now.
Wow, that is a new release move for her. They changed it to make it just bigger, just more powerful, and wow. One thing I noticed is she knows exactly where the handstand is. There is no question. Let's see, right here. Yep, right on top, shoulders, ribs, and dismount. I love the technique. It's a little bit different than just coming up and staying straight body. I like the pike open technique.
She's the top returning scorer. This is the new release move. It's called a ray. She used to do what's called a Rishna, but last year she averaged over 9.93 for the Sooners all season long on bars.
I love that she feels more confident. You can see it.
Here's Hannah Sharp now for Arizona State.
Okay, another clean ball. The one thing I do notice a little bit with their team is form in the air. And again, they're just getting their feet wet. They're just kind of getting back into rhythm, and so they're going to make that better. I know that Coach Sanchez has that on his radar.
Anaya Smith had a 9.85 before her with her impressive 1.5 twisting, Yurchenko. All the other scores are in the 9.7 range. Reagan Smith's score for the Sooners on bars is in now. All of their scores are 9.85 and above. Here comes Anastasia Webb.
Watch for her sky-high pec salto. No question about that handstand. Unbelievable.
Wow.
She brings it even higher. Another impressive release move from one bar to the other, and here's that dismount connected right away off.
Oh, wow. Such technique.
It's textbook. You know, if you're trying to explain it to another gymnast, watch her. Watch right here.
Was ranked 5th in the nation last year in the all-around and would have been contending for an all-around title at the NCAA championship, but all of that was not to be in the COVID-shortened season. Arizona State back on the vault.
Oh, excellent. She chose not to do the full and a half, just the full. Warm-ups were a little rough, and really no reason to risk it. Therefore, she has a nice, clean layout full.
Cairo Leonard-Bakers was coming after Hannah Sharp, notched a 9.75. So they had a tight competition after the first rotation because Arizona State was so outstanding on the bars. But Oklahoma is going to put some distance over Arizona State in this rotation because all of their scores on bars have been 9.85 or better, including Anastasia Webb's 9.875. And this brings up the much heralded freshman Audrey Davis from Texas.
She's a Woga gymnast. We know what that means. It's just perfection. Long, clean, beautiful lines. Oh, gorgeous. Her poise is really unbelievable for being so young. It's almost like showing off. She's so great. Look at this. Come on. Wow, look at that. Oh,
unreal.
I mean, she's the girl who could get a 10-0 as a freshman, for sure. And I love the grip. Equal grip.
High-level difficulty, incredible height. Look, she went right out of the frame. And what a flare on her release move. Impressive. Back to Arizona State on vault. This is Emily White, who is getting an exhibition performance in, and the score is in for Cairo Leonard-Baker. It was a 9.825.
I know that Coach Sanchez is going to be very happy, though. I mean, it just seemed like they were a little off on their vault warm-up, and so for each one of them to really pull it together and come up with a solid vault team score. That was the learning lesson today.
For the Sooners, this is Quinn Smith in an exhibition performance. The score in for Audrey Davis, another 9.875. So 4 9.875s for the Sooners. The score they're going to drop is the 9.85 for Jordan Draper, because Kat Levasseur had a 9.925. What an outstanding opening rotation for this season on the bars for the Sooners.
Oh, that right there is just nerve. Passed it up and really went for the handstand, which you got to be proud of, but a little loose in the back, and she just kind of tossed it over, unfortunately. Again, another learned lesson. This is why they have this opportunity. Let the pop off the bar on that. She too finds the handstand. You see Coach Haley standing there just in case. As long as he doesn't touch him, it's allowed. And look, kind of pulled in a touch on the dismount. But again, I mean, she's going to be a girl a gymnast in the Oklahoma lineup at some point.
A lot of highlights for the Sooners on the bars. Beautiful, clean execution, solid form and landings. And one of the highlights, especially from Kat Levasseur, the 9.925, the highest score for the Sooners, and she was up second.
Well, and honestly, there were not only her, but also Audrey Davis, two freshmen coming in and stealing the show, in my opinion. If I was a teammate, I'd be like, hold on a second here. So, how great to bring those two in. And now look, nice and high, an almost perfect step landing, just a slight step. But what did she bring more than anything was the energy, and her teammates went kind of nuts. So, and that's a part of it, especially with not having the big crowds, Bart. I mean, you like to perform in front of people, and they kind of ride you up, especially on vault, that you can go hard. And so that was an important move that a fact of what happened.
Anaya Smith had a 9.85, the highest score for Arizona State in the vault. So the team standings, the Oklahoma team extended their lead. Now they have a lead over Arizona State by 0.6 as we move to the third of 4 rotations. Oklahoma will go to the beam, and Arizona will be on the floor when we come back to Norman, Oklahoma. And welcome back to the Lloyd Noble Center. It's time for our Air Comfort Solutions halftime stats. It is the halfway point in this meet, and the Oklahoma Sooners have extended their lead now by 0.6 of a point over the visiting Arizona State Sun Devils. The Sooners will be on the beam in this next rotation, and Arizona State on the floor. There's KJ Kindler giving a few last-minute notes to the leadoff performer for the Sooners, which will be Carrie Thomas. KJ has a little routine that is specific to each athlete as she helps them get mentally dialed in before they perform. And, of course, the Sooners have dominated beam scores for the last decade. One of the strongest beam teams in the country year in and year out. This is a position Carrie Thomas, as a senior, is quite comfortable with. She's often the leadoff on beam.
Carrie is known for having nerves of steel, just being consistent, and this is exactly what you want. She's not necessarily your wow girl with individual skills, but solid as a rock. No easy task, combining 3 jumps in a row. And the required full turn. Cute little wink to the judge. I don't know if it'll make a difference, but it might. First time I saw her in the gym, I noticed her nerves, but no more. What a fantastic way to start off the beam rotation. rotation for Oklahoma.
Instigating first on floor for Arizona State, Megan Thompson.
First on floor for Arizona State, Megan Thompson, the junior. She's a beam and floor exercise specialist, often in this leadoff spot where she is quite comfortable. Her high score on floor in her career is a 9.825.
One thing that Arizona State has done is brought in Kristen Smith-White, a former Sooner, competed here under Coach Kendler, and they brought her in specifically to up the choreography. Coach Santos says now the routines are fun, the kids, the gymnasts are really enjoying it. So a compliment to both. He's working on the difficulty and the tumbling, and Jessica Santos is working on the leaps, and Kristen Smith, I mean, that's what it takes to bring your program to the next level, and that is certainly what Arizona State is doing. Reminds me of the Oklahoma Sooners when Coach Kendler got here with her staff. Really knows how to perform. Love that she has her eyes up and looking out and not just doing the elements. Also a great start for Arizona State.
We weren't sure we were going to see Jenna Dunn in the lineup today. Originally, we saw a different lineup, but this young lady, sophomore from Oklahoma City, did her gymnastics training at Bart Connor Gymnastics again. Boy, she was such a standout last year as a walk-on. She was a solid contributor on the beam and quite reliable. So she's coming after Carrie Thomas, notched a 9.875 in that leadoff spot.
Wow. What I like about Jenna is she is so aggressive. She attacks beam. She is not afraid. She has a triple series, and you'd have to. Is that series we were talking about, that handspring to handspring layout? The judges want to see big split during the leaps and the jumps. They also want the combination series, whether it's flight or an acro, meaning tumbling, combined with a dance or a jump.
She never scored lower than 9.8 last year in all 11 meets she competed for the Sooners.
What a lasting impression. She stuck the landing, slide bobble, but last year that was her nemesis, and so this year she's saying, nope, I'm going to start off great and finish great, and one, she's in the lineup today. That says a lot.
Sarah Clark will be next to go for Arizona State. As you see Kristen Smith-White behind her there in that black mask. She, as you mentioned, was a former standout here at OU, and now she's an assistant coach at Arizona State, and has always indicated she wanted to be a coach. She did some volunteer assistant coaching at OU, and now she's working her way up through the ranks. Good for her.
I know the coaches there, the head coaches Jay and Jessica Santos, were extremely pleased with bringing her on. Never really know, you know, bringing in a new coach, you don't quite know exactly, and they are elated with what she has done for the Sun Devils.
Sarah Clark, a freshman out of Huntington Beach, California, trained at Azarian's Gymnastics in Southern California. Former member of the junior national team for the U.S.
Unusual to be having to wait, and clearly there is a judging discrepancy. It might be the start value, trying to determine a routine starts at a 9.4 with their basic requirements, and then they can gain up to 6/10 bonus through tumbling and dance. And so the judges have to be in alignment with what that start value is. Naturally, it should be a 10.0.
All right, it looks like they have settled their differences, and the green flag goes up for Sarah Clark. Got a 9.85 on the bars in the first rotation.
Routine starts so serious with the music, but shortly it quickly changes. Hard rock. On floor exercise, you're going to see this. High tumbling is what those judges are looking for. And that 180 split, unfortunately, that leap right there was a little bit low, just didn't quite have the height. This is where that stamina that we talked about earlier might come into play. Again, this is the time, too, that the crowd really helps. It makes that last pass a little bit easier when people are cheering and screaming for you. Beautiful last tumbling pass. I love that she does the flipping, tumbling, and also the twisting. Shows a well-rounded gymnast. Excellent start.
Nice job for Sarah Clark. Megan Thompson led them off with a 9.675. As you see all the gymnasts and coaches do these air fives. Once again, everyone doing their best to stay with the COVID protocols. Kelly, you and I had our negative test 72 hours ago. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be in this building.
That's right.
It's good to be here for some live gymnastics, but we wish all these teams the best as they navigate this unprecedented territory this year for sure. 9.8 was the score for Jenna Dunn. This is Reagan Smith.
This is Reagan's event. She is so comfortable. Oh! Generally, she's very comfortable. Just a slight slip up there.
Top scorer last year averaged 9.93 for the Sooners as a freshman.
She has a move coming up that I just love because it's unique. Not college gymnastics, you don't always see a lot of creativity with the difficult elements, especially on balancing, but there it is, that handspring swing down. The basic full turn sometimes can be the hardest part, but no problem for Reagan. Just the dismount. Lovely. I love how they're holding that landing right there. Just not giving the judges any excuse to take a deduction.
Her career high, a 9.975. I think I wouldn't be surprised if this year if she notches her first perfect 10 on beam. Her technique is magnificent, and she has a soft touch on beam. She can finesse even a little balance check and not give away a deduction.
Well, and I have noticed that her split is that much higher this year. It's like she's not holding back, allowing her full flexibility to take place.
Sarah Clark score, the second 9.675 in a row for Arizona State, and that brings up Juliette Boyer, the all-arounder today.
Juliette is what the coaches consider their silent ninja. She does come across, whether it's shy or just reserved, her skills and her gymnastics is fantastic. It's different because in college you normally demonstrate that also on your face. She definitely has the technique and the ability. It's beautiful. I'm sure this is one thing that Kristen White will be working on is pulling her out of that shell a little bit, getting her to enjoy it, even if not for herself, but for the audience. Even the music is a little reserved compared to college. I like it. Wow, I love how she popped up that layout. It's just clean. Here we get to see how she pops up the full. She does full and half, and then boom, up she goes for that front layout, directly out of it.
Audrey Davis now set to go on the beam. This could be a highlight. This is an athlete with that elite pedigree, technique, and form. She trained at the Woga Academy down there in Plano, Texas, and of course, that's the academy that produced Olympic all-around champions like Nastia Liukin and Carly Patterson.
I cannot get over how comfortable she is today.
Be doing an Anodi here. A little later in the routine.
Yeah, easy clockwork. Just, oh, I got to do my series now. Well, you'll notice though too. Here, yeah, right here, Anodi. Oh my! How original. That just shows her flexibility throughout her body, not just legs, shoulders too. You'll notice from her, everything she does, from fingertip to toe. Beautiful, perfect. Look at just her point. And here's the, oh, yeah. I'll just call it, we're going to call it right now that this year she will score a 10 on that event.
Technique is magnificent. The lift on that double full, it just floated down off the ceiling. Look at that.
She spots it and goes, oh, perfect stick. Easy, easy peasy.
You can see why there's big expectations for young Audrey Davis as a Sooner. Jada Mangahas now, Parkett's Gymnastics Club in Allentown, Pennsylvania, coming after Juliette Boyer got their highest score so far, a 9.8.
Watch this. Starts full in. First one we've seen. Probably the last one we've seen today. Not sure the Oklahoma team has one. This is that difficulty. One, Parkettes are known for it, but also this is what they were working towards. Increasing, showing off we are ready to compete with the best in the country. I cannot get over how well their staff has taken this team from an 8% winning percentage to a 50% in the last 3 years.
And as we mentioned, 80% of the routines in the lineup today coming from freshmen and sophomores. 80%. They have 11 returning athletes, but in reality, it's that 13 of their 18 athletes are freshmen and sophomores. So things are looking good for Arizona State because there's a great deal of potential here.
Look at that, and finishing with the double pike. Although she went out of bounds, that is a 10th bonus. So we get to look at our first pass again. The double back with a full twist. See the full, and then the second flip. It's stuff you see at world level.
We saw Carly Woodard do an exhibition performance on vault in the first rotation. Set to go now on the beam in a lineup role for the Sooners. Score in for Audrey Davis was a 9.825. Once again, 6 athletes perform on each event. You count just the best 5 towards the team total.
It's exciting to see Carly starting to hopefully get in the lineup somewhere other than balance beam. She has been a specialist, and I've always been amazed how difficult it is to have to wait the first 2 rotations and then all of a sudden perform.
Third highest returning score on beam. She averaged over 9.9 last year.
She has really great connection right there. Side aerial into the back handspring. Front toss. Combining it into dance. Just shows off that she's so comfortable and confident that she can combine it. You can see why she's a specialist. She looks incredibly confident, poised. More so than the previous years at the first meet, I've noticed. Here she shows off her flexibility. Not required, just a nice way to say, look what I can do. It brings back the beauty of our sport when you see stuff like that.
Wow.
Fought for the landing.
Look at KJ. She says, forget the air fives. I need to hug you for that one.
Well, and that landing, you know, Bart, we know that if you land with your feet apart, you have to be able to snap your heels together and touch them. So she fought for this, a little loose in the back, but she stayed there, was patient, and was able to finish up.
A classic example of a college stick. Jada Mangahass had a 9.575. This is Hannah Scharf.
Hannah's got that full package of tumbling and dance and smile and presentation, everything that you want from a floor exercise routine. This right here engages the crowd. Clap along with me. You know, it helps pump you up. One thing I love is the choice of music. They're so diverse for Arizona that it makes you want to look at every routine because you're like, well, that's different music. I like that one. One thing I can see in their choreography is that it's constant. It's not just a lot of posing, but they're moving throughout. It's more tiring to do that, and so most teams do not want to do that. Ends with double pike. Nice save. Little short, but she pulled it out. She could have been just as easy, put her hand down, but didn't. So, great routine. Not necessarily going to be a great score because of the landing short and stepping forward. I mean, it's going to take a good 10th and a half off when you land falling forward and stepping like that.
Anastasia Webb now on the beam after Carly Woodard's score comes in as a 9.9. The low score for the Sooners on beam is a 9.7 from Reagan Smith. Everything else has been 9.825 to 9.9, and Anastasia Webb has been in this situation many times, and of course she has scored perfect 10 this event before.
She might be doing it again. Not only is she scored a 10, she's the only gymnast in today's competition that has on any event.
Last year she averaged 9.925.
You can see by her expression she is such in a zone. See, that is one thing that Coach KJ Kendler is. She has this. Wow! Look at the flexibility and the leap split. But Coach Kendler can really get those gymnasts to not be distracted. We all want to be in that little circle, that bubble of wanting to do what she says before they go. Look at this. What has she done wrong? This will be interesting.
I mentioned that she was ranked 5th in the all-around in the NCAA last year. She was supremely disappointed when the season was cut short because the Sooners were leading wall to wall. They had the #1 team scores in the nation, and she was 5th in the all-around, and so she is a little bit anxious about whether this season will be able to be completed as well, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed that under these new protocols that they'll have a safe and healthy season. As we go back to floor now, Hannah Sharp's score is in a 9.675.
Leonard Baker, I love that pass right there. Back 1.5, immediately going into a front full. Laid out position, beautiful. Again, a different type of music. Makes you kind of want to groove along with it.
Hannah Sharp was in the all-around, so is Cairo Leonard Baker. You see her here, and Juliet Boyer. So 3 of the athletes, half of their scores come from just 3 athletes. And they're strong all-arounders.
I think Cairo really just wants to get this meet over with. I say that because she normally has more fun, and she's serious. She is in game mode, and as soon as this meet's under her belt, I think she'll have a different approach. You can see that landing was just a touch low for her. Again, I think she's just getting through this. She's like, let's get this over with. And not that it's a bad meet for her at all. I mean, it's solid, but she's not shining like she normally does. And she will.
Score in for Anastasia Webb was a 9.95 for the Sooners as Kat Lavasser does the exhibition performance. Once again, this will not count towards the team total.
Some gymnastic fans might get her mixed up with Jay Degovea. They have a very similar look from Oklahoma Sooner Jade from last year. But she is definitely her own person and one we will get to watch for the next 4 years. Very basic and clean. I say basic as the front aerial's basic, but pretty. I love that she combines that, her flexibility and showing it off. Yet it doesn't, it's really not, doesn't have to be that difficult of a move. Again, another fight for the landing, a little extra adrenaline and having to find that landing today. Little balance there, but not much.
Emily White in that exhibition role once again. Score for Cairo Leonard Baker, a 9.8. And as you did mention, there's all of these teams have indicated that, you know, they're about a month behind in terms of preseason prep and conditioning and endurance training. And so, as you said at the top of the show, a lot of these athletes are just excited to get out on the floor, see where they are, get a benchmark for how well they have prepared, and keep their fingers crossed that they're going to have a full season without any interruptions or cancellations.
That's exactly right. And one thing to take notice is the road score for Arizona State. Coming into Oklahoma and having a good score will really make a difference, not knowing how many meets that they're going to have.
Oklahoma had to change their schedule dramatically because when the SEC and Big Ten conferences chose to stay in conference only, OU lost meets against Florida, Alabama, and Michigan. So they had to do a lot of adjusting to modify their schedule to get a full season in. I think they meet Denver, which is a great team, Denver, but they're going to meet Denver 3 times this year.
Right. I can totally see Emily in the lineup at some point. She is a good reserve gymnast, and I love that she brings her personality into that routine.
For the Sooners on a beam, 49.35 was their team score. They dropped the 9.7 of Reagan Smith, but the highlight was, without a doubt, not unexpected, Anastasia Webb with a 9.95.
It was hard to find a deduction. But it gave her a boost. Hopefully we'll be seeing a 10 from her this year.
There are the scores for the Sooners on beam in that rotation. And they have extended their team lead over the visiting Sun Devils. OU now leads by 1.325 as they go into the fourth and final rotation. In this rotation, Arizona State will finish on the beam. You see their scores on the floor. And OU will take a bow on the floor exercise. They have a significant lead, and they're going to an event where they excel. But we're always curious to see what kind of choreography does KJ Kindler come up, and she's excited about these teens this year. So we look forward to seeing the Sooners on the floor when we come back to the Lloyd Noble Center after this. Welcome back inside the Lloyd Noble Center as we get set for the fourth and final rotation in this opening meet of the season for the Sooners. They have extended their leads now by their 1.325 over the visiting Sun Devils of Arizona State. More and more elite athletes, instead of hanging up their career after their Olympic aspirations are over, they have retained their NCAA eligibility so that they can compete in college, because they don't want to miss out on this incredible experience that is what NCAA gymnastics has come to be. Cairo Leonard Baker, it's interesting, the senior and the most experienced athlete, gets the leadoff spot on beam for Arizona State.
She says that she loves it and she likes to get it out of the way. I can understand that. You're also warmed up. Oh, you could see that on takeoff. For some reason, and she started turning a little soon. This will put pressure on the other 5 members, since 5 scores will count, and they don't want to count that fall. So Cairo will take this experience and work on it as she gets back into her gym and work on the nerves or the technique, trying to understand where it went wrong.
Leadoff performer for the Sooners on the floor will be senior Jordan Draper. Career high 9.9 last year, but she's the 3rd highest returning score for the Sooners. You see that 9.88 was her average last year.
Jordan's a real performer. We'll get to see if she shows us the theme of NASCAR. Pulled that one off a little bit short. Licking her lips, saying she's a little dehydrated, needing some oomph on that last pass, but she finished remarkable.
Nice job for Jordan Draper.
You know, Coach Kindler, she creates those routines, but someone's got to perform them.
Up next on the Juliet Boyer.
Get a chance to look at this last my pass. Plenty of energy.
Cairo Leonard Baker, a 9-0 in the opening performance there after that fall. Juliet Boyer up now for Arizona State.
Just suddenly she did that knee spin, and most people don't realize the difficulty in that. Here's the silent weapon they are talking about with Juliet. Some gymnasts, when they bobble, you can tell they're rattled. For her, it's just more of a technical mistake. Little tight on the leaps. Could go a little higher, but under the situation and circumstance, I understand. This should get the Sun Devils back on track, however.
Carly Woodard next up for the Sooners. We saw her on beam deliver her predictable 9-9. She is money over there. This is a routine that KJ Kindler says she really loves. It's a blues music from White Stripes.
Opening with a front double full. How Coach Kindler uses their best qualities and strengths and puts those in the routine, flexibility being Carly Woodard's. Excellent. She certainly doesn't look tired. Their conditioning looks strong. Great job for Carly. It'll be exciting to watch her the rest of the season, too.
It's interesting that KJ Kindler comes up with such a variety of choreography and different pieces of music. There's no cookie-cutter routine. They're all completely different, aren't they?
Right. It's amazing to me, having choreographed myself in the past.
Juliet Boyer had a 9.725. Brings up Gracie Reeves.
Here's that triple series. Way to go for it. She has a very unique skill coming up. Gets those required leaps and required full turn. I'm just going to warn you, it might scare you. Front aerial, right into called a candle drop, like a back handspring to a neck drop position. Very difficult. Basically just balancing on your back and your neck, and you can't be off. See it right here. She jumps backwards and has to catch. So she is grabbing underneath, but still, if your hips are off at all, off you go.
Evie Schofer set to go for the Sooners now. Carly Woodard scores in a 9.825.
Now this is Personality Plus. It's a swing piece with a brass double, it says.
KJ Kindler said this music fits her beboppity style. Wow.
Sky high double tuck. Working double A. She combines her twisting also with her flipping ability. Easy. I love to see that their endurance is up strong. Last event, first competition of the year, no crowd. That's impressive.
The Sooners pride themselves in that preseason prep, and they get that fitness level so high, and they work very hard to maintain that, because sometimes it's difficult to maintain that level of endurance and fitness as the season goes on. You're dealing with injuries and fatigue, but that's part of the OU brand, is incredible base level of fitness and endurance. Megan Thompson now.
Wow, another triple series. You just don't say that all the time when you're watching balance beams. So she held back a little bit on that lead, and that'll be a substantial deduction.
Gracie Reeves before her had a 9.725, so they have a 9.0 and 2.9725. So hopefully they'll drop that 9.0 if all the scores are above that, to get a decent team score here on B.
Well, and not only just from a standpoint of competing against the Sooners and trying to win the competition, it's really also, as I mentioned earlier, having that team score away from home. Here's the triple series. Spot on.
Junior Emma LaPinta from Frisco, Texas. Last year she was in 10 meets for the Sooners, and 3 times she had career high on floor of 9.9. He does that triple twister, which is pretty rare in college gymnastics.
It is. You see it right here. It's like she just jogs into it. She's so springy that she needs to almost calm down to tumble. Is so much better than when she first got to Oklahoma. She just has an amazing bounce about her and lift off to the ground, whether she's tumbling or leaping. Most people wouldn't make that last tumbling pass without a stronger set and more of an open hip and her shoulder angle, but she pulls it off every time. She's so quick. Here's the chance to look at the triple twist. 1, 2, 3. So difficult. And she does it with ease.
Megan Thompson's score was a 9-8. This is Sarah Clark.
Another freshman with the triple series. Oh, yikes, what happened? I looked away for half a second and there she is on the ground. That happens sometimes, making the difficult moves and then relaxing mentally, and unfortunately off you go. And what that also means, just before we even see the scores, they're going to have to count a fall, which again is exactly what they did not want to do, unfortunately, coming into this competition. You never do, but especially trying to get that road score. Beautiful dismount. That handspring full and a half. So here's her triple series. That can lay, really difficult. Kind of saves it, but then, whoop! In a way, you kind of panic. Instead of calming yourself, it's whoa, it kind of gets into your system.
I've always loved her creative floor routines. Let's see what she comes up with this year.
No doubt.
Emma LaPinta's score is in a 9-9. That ties her career high.
Anastasia said she feels like she's in a sassy jungle. Outstanding every single time. She's the gymnast that makes you get off the couch, get in your car, drive in the snow, and sit 6 feet apart at Lloyd Noble. I'm not sure how Coach Kindler does it every single year for each gymnast. Like you mentioned, Bart, just a gift.
Anna Scharf, the all-arounder for Arizona State, getting set to go on the beam. There is a judges conference, and they are trying to calculate the score for Sarah Clark before her. Remember, when a routine has mistakes, sometimes those are the hardest routines to judge because difficulties, values change, as well as execution deductions, and the easy routines for a judge are the one that don't even have to pick their pencil up. They just say, okay.
Well, that is true. And her having fallen after that flight series might be the question.
Interesting note on the Sooners as they get ready for the final performance here on the floor. It'll come from Reagan Smith. If OU gets a 39.325 or more in this event on floor, it'll be the 4th time in a season opener that they've had scores so high. Only other team that's done that ever is LSU, and OU has done it, maybe, if they do it today, 4 times. So OU has dominated the scene for the last decade with their finishes in the NCAA championships with 4 NCAA titles. And they look like they have enough strength this year to challenge for a national title once again as well. The score now in for Sarah Clark, an 8-6-7-5. And their final performer for Arizona State is Hannah Sharp.
That was the most gorgeous double wolf turn. So they are letting the stress of the situation affect them just a touch. On that landing, she landed a little bit stiff leg, which is always a concern when you're watching. Just hope they don't injure their knees. But watch here, although she fell in the routine, this coming up, the wolf double turn is excellent. She does it so easily.
Final performer for the Sooners today, Reagan Smith, the sophomore from Texas. Competed in bars and beam today.
So Coach Kindler mentioned that she has new routine that fits her better, this Beyonce. And let's watch.
Score for Anastasia Webb was a 9.925.
This is where she gets to play and have fun, engage her teammates. You can tell she's dancing, but she's also thinking of that pass. Here it comes. Just a hair short. That will improve. Just numbers, just more competitions under her belt with this routine.
High fives from her teammates. The Sooners will get the win here today. There's no doubt about that, and also gain a great deal of experience in their home opener. And as we get the final scores in, I think they'll have a very impressive team score as well. The high score in the country so far this opening weekend is from Florida with a 197.5. Final performer here in an exhibition role, Jada Mangahas for Arizona State. Hannah Sharp score is in. It's a 9.7.
Something you might notice is early in this routine, she missed a connection, and really important to have those combined in order to have that 10-0 start value. So sometimes you might think, oh, I don't understand the score. That might be why. We will see. As a freshman, she might be trying to think, how can I go back and do something to get those bonus points? And sometimes it's just best to get off and then rethink it, or have that pre-planned in your head.
So the highlights from that rotation include Emma LaPinta on the floor and Anastasia Webb. The Sooners impressive as they finish out this competition. There's that beautiful triple full. It's nice to have too much power, isn't it?
Yes. And there's Emma again, and our star of the night, Anastasia Webb from Oklahoma, with her new choreography.
And the score in for Reagan Smith is a 9.825, a 49.275 for the Sooners on the floor, just under that 49.325 mark that we were shooting for. But that means the team score for Oklahoma tonight, 197.45. That's the second highest score in the nation this opening weekend. Florida had a score of 197.5 on Friday night. There are the scores on the beam for Arizona State. I think the Arizona State Sun Devils can feel very proud of their effort here. They said there were a lot of uncertainties as they got prepped for this season. They got off to an incredible start on the uneven bars, and as we mentioned, 80% of the scores for Arizona State come from freshmen and sophomores, so a lot to be excited about for them. When we come back to Norman, we will wrap this one up. The Sooners get the win. And back in the Lloyd Noble Center here, the final score presented by Taco Mayo. Oklahoma with an impressive 197.45, the second highest score in the nation this weekend. Florida has the highest with 197.5 over Arizona State's 194.725. So the Sooners get the win by 2.725 over the visiting Sun Devils from Arizona State University.
Bart, thanks so much. KJ, it has not been an easy road to get to this very first meet in the year of 2021. How rewarding was it to see the Sooners on the competition floor today?
Yeah, I mean, I always forget the excitement of competition, and if they were feeling what I was feeling, you know, all those nerves, all those things in your tummy, you know, it's just a great feeling to be out here and to have fans in the stands and really appreciate them coming out and supporting us. You know, it has been a long road, like you mentioned. These ladies didn't see each other till August 24th. Many other teams in the country were already practicing for months. You know, I'm just so proud of how far they've come, and we have a long way to go, as always, but just really excited to be here.
Both freshmen Catherine Lavasser and Audrey Davis were exceptional in their Sooner debut tonight. How were they able to come out so strong? I mean, it is unique, it is different this year, gymnastics is different. How were they able to be so successful tonight?
Well, Audrey Davis, every time she landed her routine, she was in tears. That tells you how much she loves the sport. She's also coming off an injury from her club days, so just to be out there again for her was just exhilarating. You could see it on her face, and she was so happy. And Kat, too. Like, they were really taking in each moment. Kat doing 3 events and really getting some good experience on beam. I know we're going to need her there, so I'm really proud of them. Audrey Lynn on vault, coming in with a stick in her first meet. Impressive.
A top 5 matchup in just 1 week inside the Lloyd Noble Center as Utah will come to Norman. Where do you want to see the Sooners improve before then?
You know, Utah's an incredible team. We're going to have to be on our game. Landings are going to have to be better. We're going to have to be more detail-oriented. I think this was a great first meet for us, to be quite honest. I think we saw the potential of this team, and now it's the fine details, getting those landings down. We missed a few, but we also made a few, so really something to build off of. Really proud.
KJ, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meg, and KJ, congratulations to you. This is the Loves routine of the meet, and it's the entire all-around performance of Anastasia Webb. As I mentioned, that 39.6 is just 75 thousandths of a point off her career high, and this is just the first meet of the season, Kelly.
Well, people need to understand that she is sharp, she is confident, intriguing, yet classy. Hopefully, she will draw you in as much as she draws us as gymnastic fans into the sport. Keep watching her, and both of these teams were outstanding. There's got to be one winner at the end, and Anastasia was it.
Well, the OU Sooners theme this year is Journey for 5 as they start that long journey towards the NCAA championships to hopefully win their 5th. That's what they're shooting for.